what it's like to be there.
Absolutely. So you guys took a relationship talking about your knee injuries
Mm-hmm.
and how he had a knee injury, and then that ended up building a bond that ended up turning into something that helped you get financial success and more success.
Yeah.
So I have another question then. So you've met this initial mentor, but then you developed a strategy to kind of spending some more time with people that helped you move from finance into real estate. So how did that happen?
Yeah. Honestly, it was, this is something that I've saved on my computer. It's a list of all of the jobs and full-time jobs I started applying to my senior year of college. So I applied to a total of 42 jobs.
Oh, wow.
And I got about 6 interviews and I got 1 job offer. And what I did was like, okay, at the beginning of the second semester of my senior year in January, I didn't really have a whole lot of traction, things moving forward. And I was like, you know what? Like, I really want to be in real estate, but at the same time, I don't really know how to get in there. And like, I'm not really seeing any job posts or anything like that. And he was like, well, I'm just going to start Googling real estate companies in Nashville and see what comes up. And so what I did is I was like, okay, I wrote it on a sheet of paper. I was like, okay, here are all the real estate companies that I've seen on Google that just come with like the first couple of pages of the searches. I was like, okay, I started writing those down. And then on the other side of the sheet, in another column, I started writing down all the people that I knew, whether it's family, whether it's professors or whoever it might be. It was like, okay, like these are all the people that I know. Is there any overlap to where they can connect me with anybody that I know? And that's in real estate. And then from there, I just started emailing people. I just started messaging people on LinkedIn, and I just started asking my professors, hey, like, is there anybody that I should meet? And I just started to get a couple of meetings. And from there, the very first meeting I had, I was really nervous. I was like, I don't hardly know anything. But at the end of the meeting, I asked her, like, hey, like, is there anybody else that you think that I should meet? And instantly she started rattling off a list of names. I filled up my entire, like, half the page just with more people to talk to. And it was more than any search on Google could have ever told me, much like no amount of Google Maps can tell you where to go in New York City. And the same way, it's always going to be about people. And it's the more people I've talked to, the more they've said, hey, these people are doing this. Hey, these people are doing this. Even though their website says this, they're starting to focus on this. And so, and just taking those conversations and running with it.
Wow, that's really powerful in several aspects, because in the book, one of the things that we talk about is social versus cultural. Like our culture can have a certain tradition that says, hey, go to school, get a job. But then your social relationships, especially what we consider cooperative relationships, this is where I have made a determination that I'm going to do something and somebody else cooperates with me in that thing, right? Yeah. You kind of blended those two things to say, hey, look, I know because I'm putting out these applications, I'm not getting the responses I really want. I know somebody in the field, and I'm going to start with that person. But then the thing that you did that's really amazing is you leveraged that one relationship into multiple relationships. And I think the thing that's key there is that when people hear the term relationship, they usually think like you meet all the time, you're great friends, and you have this, wonderful, kind of long history and these experiences. And that's not always the case. Sometimes when it comes to relationships, you literally just have the bond of the thing, or the central conversation. A guy that I kind of get influenced by, Julian Gordon, says it's social capital, right? So basically the things, because capital meaning the head or knowledge or the key center, the things that they know and are just our tie. So can you kind of tell us how those ties and those conversations turned into the job offer that you ended up getting?
Yeah. So as an update, I had a couple meetings last week, and then I have 2 more scheduled for this week. So currently since last summer, I met with one person last summer. And that was in last June. And I didn't start meeting anyone until January. And so since January of 2019, I met 17 different people.
Oh, wow.
And I have 2 more scheduled. So hopefully by Tuesday morning, I'll be at 20.
Wow.
And so the way that it worked is, I never got a job offer from anybody that I met with. I was like, we're doing this face to face, and I said, "Hey, do you want to work for us? I think you'd be a great fit." That didn't happen. And I think, honestly, what happened, one of the best pieces of advice that I got was treat every meeting that you have with someone like that like it's an interview. And what happened is the more people I started meeting with, it wasn't just, hey, I'm a 22-year-old college student that wants to get into real estate, but I don't really know anything about real estate. It's about, okay, now that I've talked to this guy and he does this. I've talked to this guy and he does that. I've talked to this girl and she works with this company and they specialize in this. Because now I can start putting all of this stuff together. Like we were talking about finance, what does all this mean? Being able to put together all those numbers. And I was like, okay, now I'm not just a 22-year-old college student that's, doesn't know the basic language of the workplace. Now it's, okay, I know this guy and this is what he's saying is going on. And I have an informed opinion about what's going on. And so I can ask better questions. My reputation to some degree has grown in the local real estate market just because of meeting with people. And I think a big thing, like you're talking about with getting that first job is, in that interview, I had, I think 3 rounds of interviews, one on the phone that was very brief, and then another one that was more informative, and the third one where I went into the office. But it was in the second and third ones that, the first one was like, hey, what else do you like to do outside of work? Type questions. But the second and third one, I was able to ask very specific questions because I knew what was going on. I could see specifically, hey, this is what someone's been telling me is going on here. What do you think about this? How are you going to pivot and change to do this? And so I think the biggest thing is just that I was able to be well more informed for someone that's my age stepping into a position than having to teach and train someone else to see and just to be caught up to speed. There really hasn't been, for myself currently, there hasn't really been a bringing up to speed of, hey, this is what this means, or this is what this means. It's just, I've kind of slotted in seamlessly. And there's definitely stuff that I still need to be taught and that I've still had to be brought up to speed on from our company's perspective, but still just that I was able to step in and already have a decent amount of understanding that I didn't have to be taught everything.
And that's one of the powerful pieces that we teach in the book is that there's what